potential there is massive. And just to pull that jersey on, to walk down that room, have an hands on and represent that club.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of All Wednesday. Today I'm joined by a man who took Sheffield to his heart so much that he never really left. Graham Coughlan, former Sheffield Wednesday captain. Graham, how you doing?
Good, Joe. Good. Good morning.
Good stuff. I suppose start at the beginning. How did you end up at Sheffield Wednesday? Obviously, you came in on the back of that playoff final at Cardiff, and you came in under Sturrock. Can you just tell us a little bit about how that move came about?
Yeah, we had a season with we got promoted to the championship with Plymouth, and I think Bristol City wanted to sign me at when I was at Plymouth, and I don't know they'd agreed a fee or whatever, and Plymouth just said to me that I could go and speak to them, which was a surprise. So Paul Sturrock was managing Sheffield Wednesday, and he just whispers in your ear, "Don't be going anywhere. We've a chance of getting through these playoffs, and we've a chance of maybe making championship football next season. So hang fire." So lo and behold, lucky Paul Sturrock, he's the genius he is. He's gets you picked up and he brings you down to Brentford away in the playoffs, and you're looking at the fans and you're mixing with the fans, and part of his remit was to make sure I had a beer with the fans because he knew I would probably enjoy that part of football. I do enjoy that part of it. And then obviously then he's put on a minibus from Plymouth for eight of us to come up to Cardiff. Again, a couple of beers and the usual, and all of a sudden you're hooked. We had a couple of hours around Cardiff with the fans and just the songs and just the emotions of that day was unbelievable. Just to see the fan base, the game itself as well. And look, I suppose you're not a football lover if you don't enjoy terms like that. So yeah, Paul Sturrock knew. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. But Paul Sturrock knew if it was football, if it was a fan base, if it got me adrenaline flowing, he knew I'd probably fall in love with the place. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
pulled a fast one, really, to be honest.
You said there was eight of you went up. Was that other new signings potentially, or like what was
No,
the was it your
that
just your
was the
people?
lads. He only wanted there was one of us, myself. I think his son came with us. Um,
Right.
I think one of my pals came with us, one of my business pals or something. And then there was six other lads from obviously Argyle from the team. But yeah, he knew what he was doing. If we had a good day out, if we had a good trip, and he could leave a lasting impression on myself, and he could maybe get into the championship. He knew there was a good possibility that it could happen.
Yeah. I mean it was a great day out, wasn't it? I was a teenager and it was one of my first sort of I suppose core Sheffield Wednesday memories because the first time I'd ever seen us win anything. And like that day in Cardiff, the square that they took over the road, it was just like bumper to bumper, blue and white. And I can imagine, like you say, that is the sort of thing that when you see that in person, you go, "Yeah, I quite fancy being part of this."
I think he took over every square of Cardiff. Never mind their square; it was every square of Cardiff. But yeah, it was just blue and white everywhere, and the people were just brilliant. And it was just a really good feeling outside the ground, and then obviously inside the ground, we all go through the emotions of football, and the 2-2 heading towards extra time, and then the substitutions that come off the bench, and obviously
Mm.
Macker's last minute penalty. It was just unbelievable, to be honest. And we went the other way, leaving Cardiff. We went south towards Plymouth, but I believe, and we were hearing stories going up north, back up to Sheffield. Obviously, cars were stopped in traffic, stopped on the motorway. The players were off the bus. They were sharing the trophy. They were having beers and songs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether the traffic was stopped deliberately, and I wouldn't put it past Mr. Sturrock, to be honest. But yeah, it was some of the stories and the tales that we were hearing was absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, he'd
Yeah.
send you some clips of home games and atmosphere and away games when the fans would travel. So yeah, he knew what he was doing. He was very good like that. He was clever like that with little. little
mm.
prods, little pokes, little nudges that could tip the balance for him.
Yeah. How quickly did it get done then? You know, after Cardiff, was it a case of like, right, where do I sign?
No, it wasn't. It was there was finances was involved with Bristol City. They'd agreed something with Plymouth, and I said, "Well, listen, I mean, Mrs. was pregnant actually with my son." Bloody how ironic is that? My son is now a season ticket holder who follows them home and away. So yeah, he was probably a week or two off being born, and I didn't want to leave. I couldn't leave. I didn't want to leave Plymouth at the time because everything was sorted and set up for me. You know, the house, the business. I started out in a business as well, and it was just a time in my life that I didn't need disruption. But they'd agreed a
Mm,
fee with Bristol City, so I just obviously knocked on the door and I just said, look, if I'm off, I'm off on my terms. That's it.
mm,
So yeah, and then obviously Paul Sturrock is in the background as well. The Paul Sturrock factor, I have to say, was huge. Yeah, so I just look. We had a few days or a few weeks talking about finances and trying to tidy things up because there was no way I was allowing after the 5 years I give Plymouth. I'll come in on them free as well. I was allowing them to gain from moving me on. You know, I was wanting to gain and I was wanting to get into a house as quick as I could in Sheffield. So I was the one that was being disrupted.
mm,
So yeah, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to things like that. So obviously being an Irishman. Yeah, I dug my heels in and I waited till the finances was all sorted and right and proper. And I moved
mm.
away. My son was born. I was staying till my son was born. And anyway, my son was born down in Plymouth. And about 3 days after he was born, I was in the car and I was on the way up.
Crazy, crazy. What was that first season like? Because it was a case of job done, wasn't it? You know, getting promoted. What was it like going from, you know, you're going into a team that's had success at the top end of the table, and you go into that you sort of go into that next season where success, I suppose, is just staying up.
Um, I suppose that season, yeah, I think you're right. How would you quantify success that season? I thought it was a really, really successful season for Sheffield Wednesday that year. It was very, very similar to
Mm,
last year when they got promoted at Wembley, the dramatics of Wembley, dramatics of Cardiff. So there's parallels there. I thought it was very, very close to similarities to last season. We didn't struggle as much as the team did last year. We done really, really well actually. We were flirting about with 12 and 10. And at one stage, there was talk of, oh, can we put a run together? Were we ever good enough to challenge the top six? No, I don't think we were. We didn't have the resources, we didn't have the finances, and I don't think we had the strength and depth of the squad. What we had was we had a lot of lads that had played in League One last year or the season previous with Sheffield Wednesday. We had lads that would a little bit of experience myself that tasted the championship. And we just come together. We had a good bunch of lads, a good dressing room, honest, hard working. I think we connected with the fan base and because they could see that reflected that what the city of Sheffield is on a Saturday afternoon. And I always think that's all the Sheffield Wednesday fans want. They just want honesty. They just want hard work, and they just want the players to reflect them and what they would give if they were wearing the jersey. So yeah, we did really well that season. Actually, we finished. I think we finished around about 14 or 16, something like that, Joe. My memory's not the best nowadays, headed too many balls and all that. But yeah, we finished mid table. We were never in any trouble, though. I don't think we were ever in any trouble.
mm. Yeah, and obviously you say sort of about resonating with the fan base. You definitely did, didn't you, that first season? I think you won player of the season that year, didn't you?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to pick up an award. To be fair, I stayed injury free and I played all the games, so that would have helped as well. Yeah, but there was no real. We weren't brilliant. We hadn't got anybody running away with scoring goals or anybody dominating games for us. It was a togetherness. It was a team effort. So
Mm,
yeah, I suppose it would have been difficult to pick a player of the year that year, but look, lo and behold, I got selected. But yeah, we were a good bunch. We were honest, and we all pulled in the one direction. So picking one player out that season would have been difficult. But we stayed up. We
mm,
achieved our goal. Our remit at the start of the season would have obviously been to stay up. So it was difficult because we didn't have the finances or the resources that a Sheffield Wednesday football club should have, and it was things were very
mm,
very tight. And the old man Paul Sturrock. he put his hand in his pocket many a time and looked after us, in fairness to him. So, yeah, things were very, very different then financially compared to probably the modern day game.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they were. And you were sort of lucky enough to wear the armband quite a few times, weren't you? I know that Bully was injured for periods of time, and what was that like for you? You'd had that experience at Cardiff and seeing the fans, and to have that, that pulling that captain's armband on for a club like Sheffield Wednesday, it must have been quite special.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's look. I still pinch myself, Joe. I still pinch myself nowadays I look back at memories, career, and what I've done. I was the same as every other kid here in Sheffield. I try and find a patch of grass, try and find a quiet road that you can kick a ball on. And I was just the same as every other kid. And to come across here and to play for one of England's biggest teams, and I've said that, and I don't exaggerate, and I don't need to blow smoke, but Sheffield Wednesday can be and have the potential to be one of the top 10 teams in English football. One of the biggest, one of the 10 biggest teams in English football. And I always believed that. And I said that from the time I was in Ireland. I said that from the time I was at Plymouth. I said it when I signed at the club, and I still say it now. The potential there is massive. And just to pull that jersey on and to walk down that tunnel and have an armband and represent that club was, yeah, it was brilliant. It was great. And I just wish I could have one more game. Just one more game, please. That's all I ever wish for.
Yeah, I think probably the same. I think a lot of people when they affiliate to a club that much, they just want that final. They're always going to want that final game. Graham, that's brilliant. We're done for the first half. So thanks very much for joining us. Make sure you come back for part two, and I'll speak to you very soon. Cheers.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello and welcome back to part two of this week's All Wednesday with Graham Coughlan. Graham, we just wanted to chat a little bit about Paul Sturrock. He was obviously a very popular manager at the time. I remember, as a 15-year-old, you've got it was during the Mourinho period. It was the Unis Mourinho. We've got Paul Sturrock out and all that kind of thing. But he was slightly unorthodox, wasn't he? He had some different ways of motivating the team.
Um, I think when you say slightly, I think he was massively unorthodox. If you want to, yeah. Look, he had a brilliant way with the fans. He had a brilliant way with the players. He was just a lovable. I used to call him a lovable rogue. But some of the things he used to do was chaos. There's no way in the world you get away with them now. You'd be up with all the social media and things like that. You'd be up in front of the FA or you'd be up in front of your chairman. But yeah, look, when you lost a little bit of form or you weren't playing well, I remember one day he asked us after training. He just says, "It was a Friday. Hold the lads. Don't let any of them leave." And we're all looking around. We're all thinking, "Who's in trouble? Who's upset the gaffer?" And now we were struggling with a little bit of form. Maybe we couldn't win a home or whatever it was. We got 3 games, 4 games without winning a home, and we had a home game the following day. So he comes barreling in through the canteen door and he kicks the door open like John Wayne in a Western film. And he's carrying crates of beer. And his assistant, Kevin Summerfield, has got bottles of beer as well and whatever behind him. And he puts them down on the table and he says, "Right, I better not swear, but right, you lot, if you can't play sober, you'll play drunk." So he made us have a beer. He made us on a Friday, day before a game, at home at Hillsborough, to sit and have a beer together and have a chat, and he put a bit of music on. About an hour later, he nudged me. He says, "Get your lads out of here. The lads that are playing tomorrow, the squad, get them out of here. Leave quietly and don't be." So we all left.
Mm.
Some of the stories then I heard about that afternoon and that evening with the staff and the injured players and that, they all ended up in town. And lo and behold, we go out the following day and we win. So, yeah, the chat was, "Can we do this again, Gaffer?" So, look, it just, there's so many tales that you can tell. He had a great way of getting the staff, the cleaning lady, the canteen lady, the ground staff, of picking the team for him on a Saturday. He would have the team already picked, but he would nudge them in the right direction, if that makes sense. And they'd be then dropping the names in that Paul wanted to pick. And they would be thinking on a Saturday, if we
Mm.
won, "Oh, I helped him pick that team, and it just I don't know. He just had unique ways of bringing a football club, not just the players and the fans, but bringing a club, bringing everybody together. And some of the stories that you could be here all night talking about him. To be honest, it was crazy some of the things he used to do.
Yeah, so sometimes football clubs need that, don't they? It's more than just a manager. I think that Sheffield Wednesday had that with Darren Moore. I think it's a club builder. You know, it's someone who comes in and it becomes more than just the football team. It's the bigger picture. It's the whole family, so to speak. With yourself, I mean, you when you won Player of the Season at Wednesday, it wasn't your first, was it? I think you'd won 4 or 5 at that point. What was it with yourself? Do you think it was that sort of that hot on the sleeve sort of style that you had? Because you were always very all or nothing, weren't you, on the pitch?
Yeah, I'm probably like that in life. I'm all or nothing, and that's probably me character, me DNA. But we had some good players. We had some good players, some young players who maybe needed just a little bit of experience, a little bit of guidance. I certainly wasn't a centre half that was going to nip play or start passing balls left, right, and centre. I would just win the ball back and in Paul McGrath, good old Paul McGrath's old fashioned centre half, win it and give it to one of the players that can play. And that was my mantra really. I'd give it to the good players, the Glenn Whelans and then the Chris Brunts, those who could play football. I'd give it to them. But yeah, I don't know whether it was. I probably represented the majority of the fans who just wanted to get on the pitch, and I probably they probably seen themselves a little bit of themselves in myself. You know, I wasn't the most talented, but I was somebody who had maybe a big heart and could give his all. I would put my body on the line, and I think that resembles an awful lot of the Sheffield Wednesday fans. 90% of the fan base, they would put their bodies on the line for the club, and if there was a shot, you just chuck your body in front of the shot, and you take the bullet for the team. And I think the fans are the same. I think an awful lot,
Mm.
90% of the fans are the same, and they're probably similarities to them. Probably had the same upbringing and the same type of area as the majority of people in Sheffield. You know, I was a realist as well, and I wasn't flash, and I could stand after a game and have a beer with the fans, not a problem. I'd go up to the local pub and have a beer with them after the game. Yes, I take a bit of stick when I
Yeah.
deserve it, and yeah, I got a pat on the back when I deserved it. So yeah, I'm still the same now. I'm no airs and graces. I'm just ordinary decent lad who loved his time, and very grateful for the career I've had.
Yeah, I was going to say you are still doing that now, aren't you? You're still popping up to Park after games.
Yeah, I travel. I jump on the coaches, and I travel. I've been to a few away games and all. With Wednesday, obviously the last couple of years I've been in work as workings on the Saturday. So yeah, I've been to quite a few of the games. I go down to the home games. You know, we go in, we have a sing song before and after, and yeah, it's brilliant. We get the jukebox on. There's quite a few, one or two of the pubs, local pubs I go in and keep in contact. We went in, we had a charity game. We took some of the legends in as well recently as well. So they loved it. They loved it. And we've then since got a
Yeah.
mural of Liam Palmer outside on the wall, which is brilliant, which is lovely as
Mm.
well, and well deserved from Liam. So I believe there's another one going up as well around the corner. So that'll be good. And I like to see things like that. You know, the fans singing "He's one of our own," and that connection between player and fans. It's nice, it's healthy, and I love to see it. And I think all the fans love to see it as well. To be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And with yourself, obviously, like you've had a few jobs in management and that kind of thing, but you always seem to sort of gravitate back to Sheffield. And like you say, I know your young lads are a big Wednesday eye. Your daughter played for Sheffield Wednesday ladies for a little bit. What is it about Sheffield? Is there something about the city that is it because it felt like home? Like why do you gravitate towards it so much?
I suppose when the kids went to school, I stayed in Sheffield because the kids went to school, and I didn't want to shift them. I didn't want to have them moving all over the place because you know you live a nomadic life when you're a football manager, coach, player. So we needed that. They probably needed stability. So as soon as they went to school, my missus went to work, and that was probably it. You know, we found a little bit of happiness. We found the kids were happy. The kids were stable, So I've moved around the country. I've been everywhere. I've been down South End. I've been down Bristol and been down Newport. So yeah, the stability was probably the key factor for me. But personally, staying in Sheffield, adding the people, we've met some great people, we met some great friends. Yeah, my son then grew attachment to Sheffield Wednesday. My daughter, as you say, played. So yeah, we kind of grew attachments to Sheffield, to the Sheffield people, and we kind of enjoy and like what Sheffield stands for. So yeah, it was. I
Mm.
love the rivalry as well. Let's not forget the rivalry with the Cross City, rivalry with the football, and it's a very very sporting city. I enjoy my boxing, which you know as well. So yeah, it's I think it's just a brilliant city. I think it's a brilliant place to live. An awful lot of people may not agree with that, but yeah, as an outsider, I think it's a brilliant city to live in.
Yeah, you mentioned the boxing there. Am I right in saying that that was nearly a career path for you when you were younger? There was a bit of a choice to be made.
Um, Yeah, look, I enjoyed a bit of boxing when I was younger. I suppose you had to. I suppose all the Irish kids are the same. I played Gaelic as well, hurling, and football was probably people don't really get and can't grasp how football was in Ireland. It was probably non-existent until Jack Charlton landed. And when Jack Charlton gave us the football and gave us Euros '88 and Italia '90, that's when football then took off in Ireland. Other than that, then it was Gaelic GAA. You could only play GAA in
Mm.
school. Other than that, then the nuns would get you by the ear. If you were mitting up to naughty, they'd chuck you in the ring with an older lad. The older lad would give you a few slaps, gloves on, and that was it. You won't do that again, will you? The nuns would say to me, and I'd be coming away and I'd be saying, I quite enjoyed that. I do. I definitely get up to naughtiness again to go, and that's probably how it happened, really, to be honest. But yeah, the old lads used to just put the gloves on and thump the head off you. But summer projects, you used to go into to all the boxing classes, and I love the boxing. And that was probably the one thing I struggled with when I left football, when I came away from playing. I had to take it up then when we went to Southend with the analyst, actually, Ben Sayre, and we used to just get the gloves on and beat each other up. But I miss the physical contact because I've always grown up. Every sport I've played has been physical. Every sport I've been involved in had that physical man-to-man contact, clattering into tackles and headers and what have you. So yeah, I missed that. That was one part of the game that I really, really missed, and I struggled to get in anything else I done. So hence the reason why we picked up the gloves when we went to Southend with Ben Sayre, the analyst, used to get involved as well. Ben went braver. Actually, he went on and had a fight. I wasn't quite that brave. He went in the ring. I didn't.
Brilliant. Just lastly, before you go, you mentioned it there, the rivalry. Couple of derbies coming up this season. It's been a while. Can Wednesday do the double over United this year, or is it too much of a push?
Look, I always said Danny Rowell has got a plan. He's got something up his sleeve at the football club, and I believe Danny Rowell. I think there'll be a 3-year plan. To be honest, now that's only my. I don't know. That's only my. I don't know whether it be experience or my nous or my knowledge speaking. But I think 3-year it'll be a 3-year plan. They can certainly compete with Sheffield United. Can they get above them? I'm not too sure at this moment in time. Once they have got the infrastructure, have got the club to go above them. We talk about trying to get to the Premier League. I think that at this moment in time might be beyond Wednesday.